Hi, I'm Hannah from 21st Century KY and 21st Century Literacy for Primary Teachers group on Facebook. If you're not a member of our group, we'd love to have you join and chime in on the conversation about literacy in primary classrooms. Today, I'm just coming in for a quick chat about guided reading groups. You know them, you love them, you love to hate them. Whatever your relationship with guided reading groups, you know that they're a best practice, that it is so important to read with our kids in a small group or a one-on-one setting where we can really get to know them and provide instruction for them on their level. We also know that it's important to see those groups and those kids every single day, if at all possible. In a perfect world, our guided reading groups would last an hour long and we could cover every concept under the literacy umbrella, from phonemic awareness and phonics to comprehension and vocabulary to writing and spelling and everything in between. But unfortunately, in this real world, we can't do all that. So I really thought about the list of things that I would include in a guided reading lesson, and I narrowed it down to 3 basic things. You heard me right. There are 3 things that I would make sure to include in every guided reading lesson that I teach. And I think you'll find, if you stop and think about your outcome, you'll see that teaching those groups and providing instruction for kids is not as hard as it seems at the outset. What do you want when your kids leave your guided reading group? You want them to be more independent readers on that level. You want to take them to the edge of their learning and push them ever so slightly forward in a small group setting in a way that's individualized and tailored for them. But there are 3 important things that you have to provide in order to get that outcome. And the first is talking. You have to have talking in your guided reading lesson. I know it sounds trivial, but the way kids learn to read and write and use words is by first communicating verbally. So when kids come to guided reading group, they need to talk. It doesn't need to be, get over here and sit down and let's get going. We only have 12 minutes. And let's face it, that's a good amount of time in a primary classroom at least. They need time to talk. They need time to talk about the reading and writing process in particular. They need to talk about how it is they're going about solving words. They need to share what it is that they're writing so that they have an authentic audience. They need to discuss text so that they can hear each other's thought processes and make connections and comprehend better. Kids in guided reading groups need to be talking, and they need to be talking every day. If they're in the lower levels like kindergarten or even preschool, talking is just about all they can do with regard to literacy. And a lot of kids are very reluctant, and if their oral language skills are low, man, that's number 1 on your list of priorities to bring up. So first thing in every guided reading group lesson I would have is talking. The second thing I would include in every guided reading lesson is writing. Writing is key. And until teachers really make it a priority and understand how important it is, there's always going to be something lacking in their instruction. Writing is the one thing that brings every little piece of literacy together into one big orchestra, as it were, of literacy success. You have to take everything you know about letters and words and comprehension and putting together a thought in order to be able to write. And so kids need opportunities to write every single day. Now that can look different. It could be a journal response, it could be a narrative, or it could just be practicing words and letters. But in every guided reading lesson, I would include writing for sure. And the last one, I'm not being presumptuous here, but I really want you to think about it. The last thing you need in a guided reading group is reading. And how many times do we skip this? I've pulled kids over and we've worked on sight words and letters. We've worked on spelling words. We've worked on writing pieces the whole time and never had any reading happening. Kids learn to read in the context of reading, and that's how we make those skills stick. And guided reading group is the exact place they need to be reading, because that's where you're providing a text on their instructional level. Kids in guided reading groups need to be reading. And by reading, I mean reading independently. Lots of times we pull kids over and we read the old round robin way, or maybe we call and response and echo read, or maybe we read all together in a choral read, and there's a place and time for all of those things. But a major part I think we miss from guided reading is letting them read individually and then taking time to conference with them and listen to them read and get to know them individually as readers. Kids need to be reading in guided reading groups and not just books. They can reread what they've written. They can reread what others have written. They can read words in isolation or high frequency phrases, but they need to be reading in a guided reading group every single day. So those three big things that we just discussed are probably not earth-shattering for you. However, I just challenge you to think about it a little bit differently and to look at the grand scheme of things when you're bringing kids over for a guided reading group. And remember, they need to be participating every single day in those three big literacy ideas. They need to be talking, they need to be writing, and they need to be reading independently every single day with you, because you're the expert and you're the one who's going to help spur them forward in their literacy development.